My life seemed perfect until the person I loved most betrayed me, and the one I trusted like family destroyed me. Everyone turned against me. I thought it was the end. But the truth changed everything. I always thought betrayal was something that happened to other people, not me. You read stories, you hear rumors, you see drama online, but you never think the person you trust most in the world could destroy you. I was wrong. My name is Emma, and this is the story of how my best friend not only stole my boyfriend, but dragged my name through the mud so badly. I ended up with the police knocking at my door. At the time, life felt almost perfect. I was in a relationship with Daniel, my high school sweetheart. We had been together for almost 3 years, and even though we weren't living together yet, we were already talking about the future. Daniel was supportive, kind, the kind of guy who opened doors and texted "good morning" every single day. And then there was Sophie. Sophie had been my best friend since middle school. We did everything together. Sleepovers, late-night talks, crying over heartbreaks, laughing until our stomachs hurt. She wasn't just a friend, she was family. Or so I thought. It never even crossed my mind that I had put the two most important people in my life, my boyfriend and my best friend, right next to each other. At first, I didn't notice the small things. When we all hung out together, Sophie would laugh a little too loud at Daniel's jokes. She'd compliment him on things I barely paid attention to, like his choice of cologne or the way his hair fell into his face. I brushed it off. I mean, she was my best friend. Why would I ever suspect anything? But then the signs grew louder. One day, I came back from the kitchen with snacks during a movie night, and I caught Sophie staring at Daniel when she thought no one was watching. Not just a normal look, it was the kind of look you give someone you want. It hit me in the gut, but I swallowed the thought. Don't be paranoid, Emma, I told myself. She's your best friend. Things started to spiral slowly. Daniel began canceling our dates last minute, saying he had to study or help a friend. At the same time, Sophie started flaking on me too, giving me excuses about being busy with family. I didn't connect the dots right away. But then something happened that I couldn't ignore. One Saturday, Daniel texted me that he couldn't come over because he wasn't feeling well. I felt bad, so I decided to surprise him with soup. His mom loved me, so I knew she'd let me in. But when I got there, his car wasn't in the driveway. Neither was his mom's. The house was dark. Confused, I called Sophie to vent. She didn't pick up. Later that evening, I saw her Instagram story. Just a quick flash of a table at a cafe. Nothing unusual except for one thing. In the corner of the frame, half hidden, was Daniel's hoodie. My stomach dropped. I replayed the story a dozen times, zooming in on the fabric, the logo. It was unmistakable. He had lied. They were together. I confronted Daniel the next day. At first, he denied it. He swore I was imagining things, that the hoodie must have been someone else's, but his eyes gave him away. Finally, after what felt like hours of pushing, he admitted it. I didn't mean for this to happen, Emma. Sophie and we just clicked. It was a mistake, I swear. A mistake? They had been sneaking around behind my back, lying to my face, and he dared to call it a mistake. I was shaking with rage and heartbreak, but it got worse. When I turned to Sophie, hoping at least for an apology, she just smirked. You never appreciated him the way I do, she said coldly. Face it, Emma, you weren't enough for him. Her words cut deeper than the betrayal itself. My best friend, my sister in everything but blood, and she had been planning this. The fallout was brutal. I cried for days, locked in my room, replaying every moment of the last few months. How could I have missed the signs? How could the people I trusted most destroy me like this? But the worst part wasn't even losing Daniel. It was losing Sophie. Because I realized she hadn't just stolen my boyfriend, she had stolen my reputation. It started with little rumors. Suddenly, mutual friends began avoiding me. I heard whispers that I had been toxic, that I had been cheating on Daniel, that I was the one who ruined everything. I was stunned. Why would they believe such lies? Then one night, it all exploded. At 11 p.m., there was a loud knock on my door. Two police officers stood outside, serious expressions on their faces. "Are you Emma Collins?" one of them asked. My heart nearly stopped. "Yes." "Why?" "We received a report about harassment and threats against Sophie Miller. We need to ask you some questions." I froze. My mind went blank. Sophie had told the police I was harassing her, that I had been threatening her ever since she started dating Daniel. It was a complete lie. I tried to explain. I showed them my phone, my messages, nothing threatening, just a desperate stream of texts asking why she had done this to me. But Sophie had screenshots too. Fake ones. Messages that looked like they were from me, saying things I would never say. Threats, insults. The police weren't sure who to believe. They left with a warning, telling me to stay away from Sophie for now. I was shaking, terrified, humiliated. Not only had she stolen Daniel, but now she had painted me as the villain in everyone's eyes. The next few days were hell. Friends unfollowed me. Daniel blocked me. Sophie paraded their relationship online, acting like she was the victim who had been rescued from a toxic friend. And me? I was alone. Alone and accused of crimes I hadn't committed. But deep inside, something shifted. I realized Sophie had gone too far. She thought she had destroyed me, but she underestimated me. I was going to prove my innocence. And I was going to expose her for the liar she truly was, even if it meant going to war with the person I once called my sister. The night the police left my house, I sat in bed staring at the ceiling. My phone buzzed nonstop with notifications, people sharing Sophie's side of the story, calling me a psycho, a jealous ex, a liar. It felt like the walls were closing in. But as much as it hurt, something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to let Sophie win. Not like this. The first step was gathering proof. I scrolled through months of messages with Sophie and Daniel. There were patterns, long gaps where they both went silent, busy excuses that matched perfectly. But that wasn't enough. I needed more. I reached out to Mia, a mutual friend who hadn't completely turned against me yet. "Mia, please. I know you probably think I'm the bad guy, but you've known me for years. Do you really believe I'd threaten Sophie?" She hesitated. Then she sighed. "Emma, I don't know what to believe. Sophie showed us screenshots. They looked real." My chest tightened. What if I could prove they were fake? That got her attention. Mia agreed to meet me in secret. Over coffee, I explained everything. The hoodie in Sophie's story, Daniel's confession, the lies. She looked torn, but she nodded. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll keep an eye on her. If she slips up, I'll let you know." For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. Meanwhile, I started documenting everything. Every message, every call, every detail Sophie posted online. If she wanted to drag me into court, I would be ready. And then, one evening, the break I needed fell right into my lap. Mia sent me a screenshot Sophie had accidentally posted to her private story. It was a joke she had meant only for Daniel and a few close friends. It showed Sophie laughing, captioned, "Crazy how easy it is to fake text these days. Emma should have known better than to mess with me." My hands shook as I saved it. This was proof. Proof that she had fabricated everything. I went to the police station the next morning with my evidence. The officers were skeptical at first, but when I showed them the screenshot, their expressions shifted. One of them leaned back in his chair and muttered, "If this is true, then she's committed a serious crime filing a false report." For the first time, the weight on my chest lifted. They promised to look into it, but I wasn't satisfied. I needed everyone to know the truth. So I did something Sophie never expected. I told my story publicly. I posted a video on my social media explaining everything from the betrayal to the fake messages to the police showing up at my door. I kept my voice steady, even when my hands trembled. And at the end, I showed Sophie's screenshot. Within hours, the video spread like wildfire. People who had turned against me started reaching out, apologizing. "I can't believe she did this to you. I'm so sorry for believing her lies." Even Daniel messaged me. "Emma, I didn't know. I thought you were just bitter. Sophie told me you were obsessed with me, that you couldn't let go. I'm so sorry." For a moment, I wanted to scream at him, to remind him how quickly he abandoned me for Sophie. But instead, I just wrote back, "Now you know the truth." Sophie, on the other hand, went silent. Her once busy social media vanished overnight. No posts, no stories, nothing. Until the police came knocking at her door. I later learned she had been questioned for filing a false report and tampering with digital evidence. She wasn't arrested, but her reputation shattered. Friends who once worshipped her turned away. People whispered about her lies. She tried to spin it, claiming she had been misunderstood, but no one bought it. The girl who had once stood smugly beside Daniel now found herself utterly alone. As for Daniel, he tried to win me back. He showed up at my house with flowers, saying, "I was stupid, Emma. I made a mistake. Sophie manipulated me. Please give me another chance." And for a moment, the old memories tugged at me. The good times, the laughter, the dreams we once shared. But then I remembered the nights I cried myself to sleep. The betrayal. The way he chose Sophie without hesitation. I looked him in the eyes and said, "No, Daniel, you made your choice. Now live with it." I closed the door and didn't look back. Life didn't magically become perfect after that. Healing took time. Trusting people again was hard. But something incredible happened too. My story, the one Sophie thought would ruin me, ended up inspiring others. People started messaging me. Strangers who had been betrayed by friends, cheated on by partners, or falsely accused. They thanked me for speaking up. I realized my pain had a purpose. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my voice, my truth. Months later, I saw Sophie at the grocery store. She looked nothing like the confident, glamorous girl I used to know. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes wrinkled, her eyes dull. She saw me too. For a second, I thought she might apologize, but instead she just turned away and rushed out of the store. And in that moment, I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just peace. Because I had moved on. Here's what I learned from all of this. Betrayal hurts more than anything, especially when it comes from the people you trust most. But betrayal also reveals something important who people really are. Sophie showed me her true colors. Daniel showed me his weakness. And I discovered my strength. The girl who once cried on her bedroom floor now stands taller, stronger, wiser. So if you've ever been betrayed, remember this. Their lies don't define you. Your truth does. And sometimes, karma really does hit back harder than anything you could ever plan.